the thing about sensuality and welcoming pleasure in the flesh is that there's no other way to tap into this experience but here, now, in the present. Pleasure happens in the present only.
Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom podcast. Today, I'm joined with Candia Raquel. She is a Mexican sensualist, scientist, and artist who helps workaholics overcome anxiety, which we're going to be talking about today, by embodying sensual pleasure through somatic movement. She also hosts the Sensual Sessions podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about pleasure as the antidote to anxiety. Let's just dive in whenever you're ready.
Me.
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So I was telling you before we hit record that I'm noticing, and I'm in my early 40s. So all my friends are somewhere around my age, somewhere between 38 to 50. And I'm noticing that everybody is getting diagnosed with ADHD. So everybody's on ADHD meds. They were already on anti-anxiety meds. And so we're talking about pleasure being the antidote to that. And I also want to make sure that you cover today sensuality versus sexuality, because I know that you're working a lot in that sensuality space. So I'm just going to kick it over to you, and you can start us off however you want.
Yeah. So sensuality is about sensing pleasure through the senses and expressing that pleasure in a way that it's free from inhibition and full of self-expression. Meaning sensuality has two aspects, a passive, receptive aspect and an active aspect. So you sense the pleasure of, like, you move a little bit and you sense the fabric of your clothes brushing against your skin, and it's pleasurable and it feels good. And then you may notice that you are smiling. That's you expressing that pleasure. Or it's like, I don't know, maybe screaming because you're having an orgasm or whatever. So it's the welcoming and intaking pleasure and the expression of that pleasure. That's sensuality for me. And sensuality is a basic state of living. It's important for sexuality and intimacy, but those are like a highest level of experience. And the thing about sensuality and welcoming pleasure in the flesh is that there's no other way to tap into this experience but here, now, in the present. Pleasure happens in the present only. Like, you can remember a delicious frothy frappuccino in the past, but you're not gonna experience the flavor of the frappuccino. Or, I don't know, warm bath, and it's like, that feels good, but you remember. Or you can, I don't know, crave for getting your new aromatherapy kit with delicious fragrances, and you think about the pleasure it will bring you in the future. Meaning, pleasure is in the present, even though we can think about present in the past or in the future. The same as pain. Like, you can remember a bad toothache or childbirth, and you remember the pain, but you are not gonna feel it. Pain, I mean, when you wake up in the middle of the night to pee and you hit your toe against the bed, like, pain happens right now in the moment. And the thing with pleasure and pain, in contrast with anxiety, is that everything that steers anxiety is related to either the past or the future. It has nothing to do with the present. And when you are in the state of anxiety, fueled by thoughts and emotions, you embody an anxious state.
Mm.
So anxiety, the feeling anxious that can get very like clinical of shaking, sweating, and having palpitations is an embodiment of a mental state or an emotional state that pertains to something that happened, like trauma,
Mhm.
or getting your purse stolen, or something in the past, and a projection to the future. But it's not rooted in the present, except for the bodily experience of anxiety. So, pleasure is, for me, the antidote for anxiety, because instead of letting the anxiety pour from up to down, like it's in my mind, then it's an emotion, and then I am shaking, anxious. Pleasure works from the bottom up. You experience pleasure physically, and that experience of pleasure is an immediate shift in your brain chemistry. Like, this fruit is delicious, or the chicken soup that your grandma made to you when you were like going through a bad heartbreak in the past. Like, the experience of pleasure changes your brain chemistry, changes your mental state and your emotional state with information that pertains to the present moment, here, now. And this is not something new. This, this is the natural way to go that we have buried down with patriarchal conditioning. And it's just a matter of like cleaning ourselves from these bad habits that lead to anxiety and keep us in the state of anxiety, and go back to our natural way. Even though like my dog ate the receipt of the light. Here in Mexico, you still get a paper receipt. And I called him out and I was like, fucking dog, don't do that. And he saw me, he see it, panicked a little bit,
It's
and
like,
then the motherfucker shaked it off, not like physically, literally, like, and walked away. And I was like, yeah, we all do that. That's our natural response to anxiety or and stress and stuff. We physically have the ability and the response to shake it off, but it's impolite, so we don't do that.
Mhm.
And it's very important to come back to our natural ways, to embody ourselves through in a sensual way. So we use our natural mechanisms to gain back a calm, peaceful, and pleasurable state of mind, which is our baseline as humans, mammals, and I feel we, especially women, really need this.
How did we get so far away? Because it sounds like we have lived in pleasure, like tribally, maybe, like always kind of just being in this present moment. I'm sure that tribes had anxiety, right? Like, oh my God, we planted the crops and it's not raining and we need to do the rain dance because how are we going to get rain and we're all going to starve to death? Like, that would make me feel some sort of anxiety, but it feels like we're so far the other direction, which is why everyone is medicating, right? And we think
Yeah,
this is a new thing that there that there is stress. But I'm sure there's
yeah,
always been stress. We figured out a way though to like shake it off, right? Metaphorically or physically, maybe through
yeah,
dancing and other ways of expression or moving our bodies and not sitting in a freaking chair all day. Or we figured
yeah,
ways to move it through our bodies through pleasure or through other ways. Tell us more.
yeah. Yeah, I think we have come so far in the wrong way because it's profitable. for some few to keep the majority anxious and paying. And it goes beyond the pharmaceutical industry and the patriarchal mechanisms of control. Like I feel it's like a snowball downhill that negatively keeps on adding complexity. And big part of this is the way that we have internalized patriarchy in the sense of an, a feeling and a belief of the undeservingness
Mm.
that we have to cope, like fundamental unworthiness that we have to make up for through hustle and production.
Mhm.
And it stems really from the industrial revolution where the endless trail of manufacturers could
Mm.
run and guarantee a production regardless of the weather and the seasons and Mother Earth rhythms, and also human rhythms, like people working the night shift and people working the morning shift and the afternoon shift. So, like, everything was standardized instead of flowingly embodied according to everything. And it, in a way, it has bring safety, but it is a challenging safety that, okay, well, you know you're gonna have food in winter because like the production chain keeps on going. But the thing is that we internalize this idea of running as machines and always chasing after the carrot of satisfaction and gratitude and feeling very stoic and proud because we delay gratification. And even in, I love the US Declaration of Independence, and I am Mexican,
Mhm.
but there's something that really called my attention that it said that entitled to freedom, sovereignty, something like that, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah,
And it's like,
we forgot that part.
like, yeah, like the pursuit of happiness. So it's you're entitled to pursuing happiness. That's what
Forever,
says literally.
continuously on the hamster wheel.
Yeah, 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 like you have the right to pursue it. It's like, yeah, you're in love of that guy or that woman. You have the right to chase it, pursue it, date, but not to marry that person, not kiss. It's like you are entitled to the pursuit of happiness instead of
Happy.
you are entitled to live fulfillingly and happily here now and welcome it as a fuel to keep on going. So it's like, it's very interesting because desire is applauded. It's like, okay, an entrepreneurial mind and go getter. I mean, that's great. And it's like being desire driven, it's applauded in our society and it has really made us move forward technologically.
Mhm.
But the thing is that we are missing the other part because on one hand we have pleasure and on the other hand we have desire. So desire is wanting the journey, like I want the fruit, I want the to eat the forbidden apple.
Yeah.
And once you get the apple, like the next step is to eat the apple and delight in the apple and receive it and savor it and get the nutrients. But that's a sin, says religion, like
Mhm.
receiving the forbidden fruit
Then you feel
or
shame
any kind of
about it,
blessing.
right?
Yeah, or any kind of pleasure is forbidden.
Oh,
So that's why we always keep on fucking chasing and
yeah.
chasing and being just desire driven without the counterpart of the engine. It's depleting. And that's a cause of the anxiety because we always want, when I finally get to lose the 10 pounds of the baby weight, then I'm gonna feel hot to, I don't know, to wear my corset. And when I get the raise, I finally feel like proud of myself. When I send my kids to college and they grow up, I will finally feel like a woman again and not just be stuck to to the role of a mother. So it's like this future
Mhm.
mind driven thing that makes us really anxious because we are in this hamster wheel that more is more and more is more. Like you make your first 10K, then you want your first 100K, and then
Mhm.
your first million, and
Brilliant.
and the thing is that never, nothing is
Enough.
enough.
I agree. I have two quick questions. One is this just Western society or is the whole world like this?
It's the whole world, but uh, uh, I don't know much about Eastern cultures.
I don't
I
either.
know from the ancient philosophies, and I mean we have the American tribes here
Mhm.
in the States and in Mexico there were like other great cultures, but I feel this thing is globalized.
So, how do we feel
Very-
satiated? I know I experience exactly what you say. I also I'm a businesswoman and I've managed to figure out
Yeah.
how to at least blend pleasure and run a business. And I work in retail,
Yes.
like the retail space. So it's little things for me like not waking up to an alarm clock, setting great boundaries in my
Yes.
calendar so that I don't have to immediately
Yes.
jump out to an alarm clock and run to work, right? I work from home. I can work in my comfortable clothes. Today at lunch, I had so much fun. I played this sexy R&B playlist on Spotify on loud in my house. I was all alone. My partner Scott was gone, and so I was like, "It's me and the dogs, and we're gonna like just jive to the music." And I made this wonderful salmon with linguine, and there was a sauce, and there were vegetables, and it was like 40 grams of protein. And I was like, I'm just gonna nourish myself at lunch. And then I jumped in here and had a call with you right after. So it's like, I figured out this balance, I think, of like bringing sensuality and pleasure into my day, even though it's still, work. But I have not figured out how to be satiated. I will, like you said, you make the 10,000, you make the 100,000, you make the million, and it's like it doesn't ever scratch the itch. And so you eventually just keep going and going and going, and occasionally allow yourself a vacation or occasionally allow yourself a breath, right? And then you're just like, now what? And I just want to sit in satiation so fucking badly, but I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. The, there's a great song from the Rolling Stones that says, I can't get
Yeah,
no
that's
satisfaction. Yeah, and there are two things to it to satiation. The first thing that I'm gonna say, which is I believe the most important, is that it's a blessing to never be fully satiated.
hmm,
It's important that within the pleasure of receiving,
mhm.
there's always a little space of lack
Okay.
from which desire can grow again, because that will make you move your ass and keep on doing whatever you need to do to keep on being alive. And the beauty of it is that it's like a beautiful sadness that has to do with living, that there's always a little fucking missing part that keeps you open and curious with a little longing, which protects you from entering into a stagnant,
Yeah.
frozen, solid state of, uh, or for example, well, I sometimes indulge in overeating and binging. That's my fault, and I try to not let myself fall too hard. But when I eat too much, it's like Oh no, like I am stuffed. Like I can eat one complete pizza. I don't do that often.
Stop
Like,
it.
and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. And and the thing is that pleasure requires a certain wisdom and a
Mhm.
certain maturity, which is my, this is the second part, because you need to know when to stop and
Mhm.
to be able to behold the incompleteness. And this is especially challenging when it comes to, for example, love. Like, yeah, you're the love of my life, and still you have like one molecule of assholeness, and you're fucking disappointing
I
in
like you so
1%.
much. I think we're gonna be best friends.
Yeah, starting from now.
Because this is so
And
true, right? Like you want to leave a little bit of the satiate, like a little bit of longing for that pizza, right? Like you let yourself eat one piece
yeah,
and you're like, damn, I really
yeah,
want another one. But like I know in 15 minutes I'm gonna be so full and I'm gonna eat a little fruit or something, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
and I am getting the goosebumps because I feel that's the secret for life.
Yes.
That's the secret of pleasure and desire. And I feel it's very important to train with oneself to let us never be fully satiated.
Mm.
And once you master that with yourself,
Hmm.
practice that with your beloved or your beloveds. Like, give them 99% and have the balls to not give them that lasting 1%, even if they fall into the floor and
Like
beg you.
this feels really
Why?
sexy.
It's sexy. And why? Because, and it's very challenging because it's the dance between love and eroticism.
Hmm.
Because if you give yourself completely, you kill desire. So, in order to decide, you cannot desire what you already have. Like, I can't desire like this phone because I already have it,
Hmm.
you know? But if there's 1% missing, it's not fully completely mine. So the engine of consumption or getting more and more and more keeps on running, but it's not life depleting, and you're not hemorrhaging yourself from overgiving, overworking, overdoing, because you are really working on with the other hand of sensuality, that is receiving the pleasure. So you receive the pleasure of your beloveds or beloved, and you give the pleasure. So it keeps on turning. You eat the pizza, but you don't eat the last slide. And and in a way, that's what we do naturally when we are stable and happy. We are more comfortable dancing the erotic dances of life, keeping the tension between these two aspects, like desire and pleasure, like the going for it, the chase, and the absorption of welcoming and taking in and receiving the pleasure. And I feel that anxiety fundamentally is a disbalance of this natural engine and mechanics. So we are striving to finally feel at peace or fulfilled, or on the other hand, we are eating cornflakes straight from the box of cereal to ease ourselves and calm down the anxiety, and sending the blood from the brain to the stomach so
Hmm.
we think less. So it's like starting little by little. And I think you already nailed the formula of cooking a delicious salmon and do, actively working to protect the receptive passive need. of the self in the little things and the little gestures. Like, okay, I have a sufficiently organized life in such a way that I don't need to break up to wake up in the shock of an alarm clock. I can wake up naturally, and even more, like I have the space to feel groggy and waking up shitty, and I have the space to metabolize it and not on the top of feeling like shit, having the demand of feeling happy. Like now, feeling happy is an obligation, or the pleasure. It's very important that we don't turn pleasure into another task of our to-do list, and we don't make an obligation out of sensuality. And
Mm.
of course, this is more evident in our intimate relationships, but the way we tend to it is in the little things of our daily life that nurture sensuality, which then becomes a wonderful launch pad for the rocket of arousal and the pleasure of sexuality and intimacy. And yeah.
Yeah, because we've tended ourselves, right? Oh, I feel like we could take this conversation a million different ways because as you've been talking, I'm obviously thinking about sex too. And for me, I haven't taken this concept of don't take everything on the table and eat it, leave some pieces left in like in the bedroom. So like I'm noticing that when I have sex with my partners, I'm like give me all of it. Like I'm a shapeshifter erotic blueprint too. So I'm like let's do it all. Let's do all the things. Let's have all the orgasms. Let's go for hours. Like that is my absolute bliss. And so now I'm thinking like, how can I like leave a little pizza on the table or on my plate, right? In a metaphorical way for sex to either like entice people to come back, like my partners to come back, or entice them to like think about something. I don't know. Does this apply for the bedroom? Are we allowed to just fucking take all the things that we want and then just repeat again later?
Yeah, you are 100% in control and you make the rules. Well, having said that, I feel the key is playfulness.
Yeah.
When you are in that state and embodied, and your beloved is like already like on top of you, and the kissing is passionate, and then you just slow down a little bit and you lean back a little bit, and they have also made it to me, and I just go like feral, like "Rah,
Yeah.
now I want more." So it's allowing yourself to play with the erotic tension of moving forward, staying in the same place, or leaning back. And yeah, we can strategize on that, but then it's like, you have been thinking about doing this to me. So I feel that the best is when you just feel it and you go for it. Like,
Mhm.
the dessert. And about having all the orgasms and trying everything, I think it's the same with pizza. There's a sweet spot.
Okay.
And I feel that when we are really attuned to ourselves in an animalistic way, we do this naturally.
Mm.
We stop eating when we reached the high note, and then we gently retreat. It's like, this is our highest high. Let's not be fucking stubborn, and let's not force it, and let's not stay in the party until they turn on the lights. The lady arrives to clean the floor, and the DJ is already picking their stuff, because then there's no pleasure. So it's the same with, for example, my binge eating. There's a point, there's a sweet spot of pleasure, and there's a sweet spot in desire. Too much pleasure becomes pain. And we see that in addiction, and we see that in codependency. It's like, you were greedy, and I was greedy, I went beyond the sweet spot, and then I am just hemorrhaging my life force, trying to climb the high that I know that won't come back. It's also like when you're celebrating with champagne and you're in the perfect happy tipsy state, and if you drink one more glass of champagne, you're gonna not be happy tipsy, you're gonna go more to the drunk side. And the thing is that if you fall into that side, then you fall into what psychoanalysis calls enjoyment. So there's pleasure and enjoyment. And enjoyment is, pleasure itself is related to boosting life force, it's life giving. And enjoyment, the pleasure that leads to pain, it deteriorates into self-destruction. And what I believe it's so interesting for me in sex is that you thread very lightly there, and also with plant medicine or rituals, or I don't know, or entrepreneurship. Like, if you, it's great to work hard, but if you work beyond the sweet spot of hardness, it won't be efficient. You won't go farther fastest, but you will become slower, and it will become a burden. So I believe embodying sensuality provides you with this immediate certainty at the body level. Like, okay, is this feeling good? Yes or no? And it's not an intellectual answer of convenience, it's not an emotional answer, it's a physical answer. Like, when you're about to vomit and you have like this reflex of vomiting, you cannot fake it. That's your bodily answer of no. And we have this since we were babies. Like, I was fed like rotten porridge, and as a baby I would spit it out. And if it was like delicious Gerber apple flavored or whatever, like, you see babies delighting in the food that is nourishing for them. And we have that as an adult. Like, that's primal. It's pleasure. The distinction of pleasure and pain is a survival mechanism, but we have covered that up with this like patriarchal conditioning of behaving and complying. And yeah, like, it's party time, let's go to the end of the party, let's consume everything. And I feel the key is coming back to this bodily knowing, to this sensuality of what's pleasurable and therefore good for us, by creating the proper systems in our everyday life. Like, okay, I have the time to wake up whenever I feel okay, and I am creating this space to play with food and notice the scents of my salmon and savor it and touch it and involve all the senses. And the thing is that these little everyday sensual rituals are like routines for checking in with yourself, for coming back to sensuality as your primal thermometer of how is your navigation going through your everyday life.
So I think this is a great time for us to help our listeners with some practical stuff, right? Like we've been pretty ethereal. We've given you some like yummy ideas about making salmon in the middle of the day, but truthfully, most people listening probably have an office job. They have a 9 to 5. They have to go in. They haven't, I don't know, they're not working from home and making salmon in the middle of the day. So, how do we help the average person that's listening who is having an issue with major anxiety and getting in their body and feeling pleasure? Where do you start? And like, how do you put yourself on this path so that you can have these pleasurable moments to come back to? You can lead a life with pleasure. You can come back to it when you're feeling anxiety from the past or from the present and be in this present moment.
Yeah, I think the first step is to create a daily sensuality check-in practice
Okay.
that I don't probably most of the listeners here have gone to a yoga class, and there's always a beginning and an end. Like you start the class with a namaste and you close with a namaste. And if you're a martial artist, there's also like something you do in the beginning, something you do at the end. And as a dancer, like there's also a way to begin and end. For example, we clap at the end of any ballet, any dance class ends with a clap. So I feel it's important to introduce this kind of mini ritual that creates a safe container for whatever you're doing. And it's like an alpha and omega. So it's like uh, something that lets you know that you're starting a thing, and something that lets you know that you have finished the thing. And for me, I have many pairs of eyeglasses, and this special set of leopard eyeglasses are my eyeglasses for working, and they live inside their box, and the box is on top of my laptop when I finish working. So before I start working, it's than 1 minute that is I open
Mhm.
the box, put my eyeglasses on, and now I'm ready. And when I finish, I finish. I close the laptop, I take off the glasses, put them in the box, and put the box on top of the laptop. And there I introduce a pause
Mhm.
just to acknowledge how am I doing in any way. Like I am running crazy, and even when I am rushing and under a lot of stress, I have this instant of acknowledging I am derailed. Like I am throwing the fucking glasses there and going to the supermarket or whatever. And the times that I am like more centered, it's like, okay, it's done. And now I'm checking with myself, like, how am I doing? What do I want to do? So that's the first thing, creating a pause between dynamics, creating an alpha and omega. And and from there, feel free to elaborate, like be mindful about your morning routine and your before bed routine. And before driving and before starting up the engine, like just check, like, okay, I am starting this round. I am going to the supermarket and back home. And when you come back home, it's like, okay, this is the omega. I finish this round, and make it 1 minute, 1 second, whatever, just to acknowledge the between spaces. And from there, just expand it if you can with a great tool from Erica Whitaker. She was a brilliant Alexander Technique teacher. That is 2 minutes of non-doing. So there's only one requirement. And the single requirement is that you grab your tool, that is your phone, set it for 2 minutes, 2 minutes, put it there, and go crazy. In the beginning, you will not know what to do in 2 minutes, and you may be even feel that you are going crazy because, like, oh no, the whole continent is gonna fall apart if I am not running in 2 minutes. That's what our anxious mind tells us because we've been through survival situations and we are in this fight or flight response projecting the worst case scenario future. And what this pause introduces us is the practice of regaining trust in life. And it allows us a little space to assess what's the real danger, like, oh, okay, there's no lion here in this block, things are okay, I have oxygen, I have a sweater on, like, okay, I can breathe. And sometimes these 2 minutes are eternal. We are only 1 minute, we are halfway. So many things happen. So if you're really anxious, it may feel like a too long stretch from anxiety to pleasure. So a middle place is the place of kind of numbness. Like, okay, I am not panicked. I am not really in pleasure and delighting and open, but I am starting to feel open and create space for whatever thing that is going in me to arise. These were our 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes of non-doing between before starting an activity or ending an activity. And when you cannot stand it, you just like throw your eyeglasses there and move on. Did burnout stole your drive for love making? Get it back with sensual rest. My name is Candia Raquel. I am a sensualist, scientist, and artist, and I am also friends with Jennifer and fan of the Open Bedroom podcast. And I invite you to get somatic movement, quick fix tools to reignite your libidinal vitality inside my free 5-day real rest challenge. Just click the link below and I'll see you inside. But I feel I'm gonna share 3 tips. This is the first one, the alpha omega before starting an activity and after you end an activity. Before answering emails and once you finished your emails. And I'm going to tell you why this is important. Because if you don't consciously close the activity, you're going to be thinking on the email on midnight. Mm-hmm. And you are going to be, I don't know, thinking on emails when you're cooking your salmon, and you are going to be wanting to eat your salmon when you are in front of the computer answering these emails.
It makes me think of tabs on your computer, and you have like 100 tabs and they're all open, and your mind is like, I need to do that and I need to do that, but I can't close that because I haven't done this one yet. And it's like,
yeah, okay, that's important because if someone here is an over controller like me, They will want to have the house perfectly clean before relaxing, and all the tabs closed before finally chilling. And this is the patriarchal hamster wheel of procrastinating the present and the pleasure here now and the happiness here now for the sake of a better future that may or may not ever come. So, okay, so we have that tool. The other tool is about Tantra. Tantra claims that everything is sacred. That's a tough one to swallow. Everything is sacred, especially the shitty things happening. They are also sacred.
Okay.
And well, how you process that. And for me, it's the disposition to be undone, the disposition to open up here, now, fully, taking off your skin, open yourself in channel, and allowing for all the open tabs to be open, for the global conflicts to be going on, for all the flowers that are blooming to bloom, for all the eagles in the states that are reproducing on this season, that have been a lot of bald eagles, to be undone, to allow the the pending things to stay pending, and allowing for the conflicts to be there. And then you can begin to get in touch with the present here now, and you will begin to have the openness to experience pleasure or pain, whatever is going there. And the gift is that standing in reality will also give you the information to act on it, not out of compulsion because of your anxiety, but really with the cutting clarity and deliberate energy of knowing where you're standing and really owning your desire. So that would be the second tip, to be tantric, to be undone, which is the other side of the coin of being unbound. So we need, unbound is like, okay, you're free. You're daring to be like a tiger in the wild. But it's like willing to be undone, willing to not be 100% satiated, but deliberately living this emptiness, this little circle of yang inside the receptive yin, and this little circle of yin inside the yang. So you keep your engine of vitality rolling. And tip number, I think, so the first was the alpha and omega, then introducing the 2 minutes of non-doing. Third one being tantric, undone and unbound. A fourth one would be to yawn and sigh as much as your body requests. Like, see if you can be very obedient to yourself, to your bodily self. And if you want, we can give it a try, because this is, yawning is a great step to face our patriarchal conditioning and deconstruct it in a bodily level, not just like rational, and I am like feminist liberated, but like really physically. So I I am gonna try to to see if I can make my yawn contagious.
Oh, I got it. I yawned. Feels so good, doesn't it?
Oh my God. Okay. I will continue yawning, but there are two things that will happen almost automatically. The first one is that we are gonna want to close our mouth because that's the polite thing to do. Like, if you cannot contain your yawning in a dinner with the royal family, you better cover up your mouth. Like, if you really have to yawn, like, instead of like letting everyone see your tonsils here on YouTube. So that's the first thing that you will notice is how an emotion and a thought hijacks a bodily reflex. So it's like one thing. And the other thing is that hardly in the beginning you will reach the very end of your yawn. There is gonna be some kind of shyness,
Mhm.
inhibition that gets in the way of you going all the way in your yawning. So let's do another, if your body wants and feel inspired to yawn. Otherwise, I will be yawning here alone and maybe some of your listeners. So try to take three, at least three. See how challenge yourself to go all the way.
Mm.
Oh, it's not easy. I get super shy.
And it makes my eyes like all watery, which is probably kind of nice for my contacts.
Oh, yeah, well, I could do two of them, but I hope your audience, if they are practicing,
Uh-huh.
they got to notice the tensions of, oh no, this is kind of impolite, can be, it's very rude to yawn in front of someone that is speaking to you, for example.
Hmm.
And what I want to say with this is that yawning is a bodily reflex that we hijack with our conditioning. And the way that you can notice your conditioning kicking in is through tension that gets in the way. And why is this important? Because this kicking into your reflexes and your natural ways is a modus operandi of anxiety. And anxiety is like has many expressions. And one of the most mm, painful expressions of anxiety is performance anxiety. Like, here we are kind of comfortable, dressed up, and in a conversation. But when you are in the encounter of you with your beloveds or beloved, wearing nothing, naked, and with nothing to distract yourself, but like you are really, you are seeing and you are being seen, this exact experience kicks in. This kind of tension that you are delighting in the pleasure of yawning, and suddenly it's like, oh no, I am in public, like someone is watching me. And then this tension comes up. And the way to overcome this tension is by practicing letting it go. And I feel that yawning is a great place because you get to practice these two aspects of sensuality. the active and the passive. Like yawning is so delicious and you're feeling it and you're letting yourself go with the yawn. And then you have the active part that is expressing it. And there comes a moment when the yawn becomes a whole bodied yawn of stretching, and it's like you begin to be moved by the yawn reflex. It's like when you're stretching, you're just stretching. You are not worried about like your belly sticking out or your love handle, like whatever. Like you are expressing that pleasure, and you are really aware of that pleasure. Like you are aware of it because you're sensing it, not because you are thinking about it. And this is practicing to embody sensuality, which is the state we want to be on intimacy during intercourse, to have mind blowing sex. Like we want to be from the bottom up, from the flesh to the emotions to the thinking, and not like, okay, am I doing the right technique the right way? Like, if you're thinking that, you're not in your body and you're not in touch with the connection, in connection with the body of the beloved. So joining is a great tool. And finally, I would say focus on the exhale. Try to make it as long as the exhale wants. So we have two brain hemispheres. And we have two modus operandi of the nervous system. One is very action oriented, that is the survival mode of the sympathetic nervous system. And when we are anxious, that area of our brain is light up. You can see it on a MRI. So you are running on like hunter mode, uh, on the excess. And the thing is that being anxious has a very specific kind of breathing that signals the nervous system to stay that way. And the thing is that this breathing is a longer inhalation than the exhalation. So it's like, for example, like you see a car crash and you almost got killed, and it's like, or when a kid is having a tantrum in the supermarket, you will see them inhaling rapidly, like. So this breathing rate relates to feeling anxious and this side of the nervous system. And the counterpart is being on the parasympathetic nervous system, that has to do with the restoration, maintenance, and digestion of the body. Is where we most fully experience pleasure, and it's very important for sleep, for example. And the key to access this other side of the brain is by making the exhalations longer. So the easiest way is to sigh. And you may have noticed that the kid doing the tantrum on the supermarket, after inhales, they are gonna start sighing. It's like, and then it's like, ah. Or when your best friend is on a shock and you hug them, and I am here with you. I'm sorry that you lost your car in this car crash, but you are fine and everything is going to be all right, and you hug them and then they sigh, ah, you know they have shifted to the other side of their brain and that they are in a better situation to restore the state. And again, this is our natural way to shake off the challenges of life, like a dog. So every time that you feel like sighting, or every time that you feel like yawning, like really drop everything and just yawn and sigh and motivate these dynamics, and you will see that slowly, slowly, you will regain your body's trust. Your body will begin to trust you more to self-regulate. And of course, these are very handy tools when you are gonna try something new on the intimate and you're feeling kind of nervous. So it's normal to be nervous. The thing is that it's important to use these essential tools in order for nervousness not to override the experience of pleasure.
Yes. Excellent. Oh my goodness. This was so much good information. Thank you for giving us our 5 points. I'll make sure and put them in the show notes, and maybe I'll even like make a cute little graphic for us that will live on social that we can share. Yeah. Okay. Um, if you're at the end of this podcast episode and you're like, I want more of this, I want more of Candia, how can people get a hold of you? Where do you live at on the social platforms? Do you have any programs? What's going on? Tell us.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere on the socials with my name, Candia Raquel, handle at Instagram, TikTok. That's where I am more active, also on YouTube. And I have a free guide to awaken sensuality for Jennifer's listeners. It's on my website. You just go to my name, candiaraquel.com, which is www.candiaraquel.com/awaken sensuality, and you can instantly download it.
Perfect. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes. So if you guys will just take a second before you run off to your job or whatever it is that you're about to do and hit follow on her socials. I'll also put a link to the freebie below so that maybe when you get home tonight, you can, get that out and get in your body and start practicing some of these things. Thank you again so much for being on, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.